Hey y'all, and welcome to Stivers Homestead. I'm Zach, and I am here to show you a very, very cheap, pretty much free way to grow lettuce or any kind of seeds in this kind of container. As gardeners, we're always trying to find the cheaper way to grow food, and especially in smaller spaces. Not everybody has the room to build a bunch of raised beds like we have right here. Took us a long time to get to this point, but I never want that to hold anyone back from growing food, because right now it's more important to do it than ever. So I'm about to show you a real cheap way to do it. But first, what are the basics to growing food? Having dirt, decent dirt that something will grow in. So it's very easy to do that with a container because you can buy a minimal amount of soil to grow. You need a container to hold that soil, and you need to be able to have drainage, sunlight, and water. That's it, and you can grow food. Oh, and you gotta protect it from the frost if you're gonna do it when it's still wintertime. You don't even need a hoop house greenhouse or any kind of greenhouse to be able to grow some food. All this does is build an area where the sunlight draws to and heats up an area. You can do this very simple with a bunch of small things. All you really need is some clear 6mm plastic. You can get that about anywhere. However, if you are interested, this hoop house only cost us about $300 or $400. The most amount was the wood down here, because y'all know how wood prices are. These are just cattle panels, and that's all we did to throw it together. We have a full video on it if you're interested. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about that thing. This is an old water trough that we used to use for our animals. Well, it no longer holds water because when we were breaking ice one winter, we popped it down in there and got a little too far and it cracked the bottom, so the water doesn't hold anymore. Well, what did that just give us? That just gave us a container gardener. When most people would call this trash and throw it away because it's no longer its use for its animals, homesteaders figure out a different purpose. Does it look pretty? No. Does it drain water well? Yeah. Will it hold soil? Yes, and that means that it's gonna grow food. This is super cheap. It has good height. It'll hold a good amount of soil, and it's gonna grow us a lot of lettuce, because that's what we're gonna be planting in, leafy greens. So if you're a homesteader and you have animals, boom, there you go. You've already purchased it. It's not trash, it's something that you can reuse. If you don't have animals and you don't have one of these little things just broken around, go to your feed store. Those things are not very expensive. They're gonna be cheaper than, say, buying ginormous grow bags or say a pre-made raised bed setup. All of this is gonna be cheaper. You can even use a 5-gallon bucket if you wanted to, but I like these because they're flexible and they're easy to move around. So now that you know what the idea is, let's plant this thing. And yes, I'm wearing sandals and socks. It's Kentucky. I'm a 30-plus-year-old daddy, father, husband. I get to wear socks and sandals. Let it be. Okay, this thing does have draining because it already has cracks in it. I'm going to throw a few more holes in there just to make sure it drains real well. It's very easy to do. So I'll throw a few on the bottom there, and I'm just gonna throw a couple on the sides. Done. Next is your soil. We get these big old things of Pro Mix from our local feed store. We do a lot of gardening, so we need a lot of soil because we're gonna start a lot of seeds. We love Pro Mix. It's one of the better ones that and our recommendation that you can use. But all you need is any kind of container gardening soil. Go to Walmart, go to Lowe's, anything you have, your feed stores that you have locally, and get you a couple bags of this. And they're so nice to have around because if you ever need to fill something up, you'll have the soil. Preferably find one that says container gardening on it because it's going to give a few more nutrients that the ground isn't going to be able to provide because it's in a container. So we're just going to fill this bad boy up. So in these Pro Mix boxes, they're very compact, so you can get a whole lot of soil in it, but it barely used any to completely fill this up. Now it's very fluffy because it's very dry, and you just want to make sure that you crumble all those big pieces up so they don't stay that way. Now what we're going to do is we're going to wet the soil because it's going to settle some, and then we'll know if we need to add any more or not, and then plant our seeds. Now that we've got the watered in and it's nice and moist, I'm actually going to sit here and let this do what I call perk. Because it was compacted so tight, I want that water to really absorb in. So give it about 5-10 minutes, and then you can kind of check it out after that and see if you're good to go, or if you need to add more water or more soil or stir it up, because as you can see there, it holds these dry pockets like that. So you just want to make sure that water is able to incorporate everywhere before we actually call this ready to plant. Okay, so our soil has set. It's what I call perked. It's nice, fluffy, airy, but it's good and moist as well. And it didn't settle much. So there's still going to be some settling that happens as time goes on, but that's okay for a container. It can go down a little bit. We're going to have plenty of soil here for what we're growing. So what are we growing? So I'm going to be growing different types of leafy greens in here. So I've got some romaine lettuce, I've got some regular just salad bowl mix lettuce. I'm actually even going to be growing some kale in here too, because this little thing can handle a lot of seeds. But my primary point for what we're growing is stuff that we can clip. It'll grow back, we can keep clipping, and then here's our salad that we have going on. Other things that you could grow in here would surprise you. You can grow tomatoes in here. You can grow cabbages, cauliflowers, cucumbers. Anything that you want can grow in this container. And you did it for basically free. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button for us. It's planted. And so now for us, because we haven't, I'm gonna leave this bad boy just sitting over here on this side of our greenhouse. We actually left this whole side open with no counters so we can have more container gardening going on in here. So that's where we're gonna put it. If you're doing this and it's still cold, one thing about it, lettuce can handle frost. However, we need to get them germinated, right? So they need to have a little bit of a warmer temp. Can't be down in the 20s and 30s. They can even handle the 40s to germinate, but you wanna make sure that they have a little heat. So if you're planting them outside and you still have some cold temps coming your way, throw you a stick right there in the middle of that, drape some plastic over it, clamp it to it. Boom, you got yourself a little greenhouse. That'll help keep that soil warm through the day, and you'll be good to go. And you'll have lettuce or whatever it is that you're growing all year. There's so many cheap and easy garden hacks that are out there. Hopefully this video brought you a couple ideas, or maybe got your brain turning on stuff that you have laying around your house that you can turn into growing you food, you and your family food. That's the whole point of this. That's the reason that we do this YouTube, is because we want you to grow your food, and we want you to make sure that you know how to do it without having to break the bank. You don't need the biggest, baddest thing there is. As long as it holds soil, it drains, it can get some sun, and you water it, you can grow the food, y'all. If you're new around here, make sure to hit that subscribe button for us, because you gotta see what this looks like in the next couple weeks. And we love y'all. Until the next one, bye.